And now it's time for Auxiliary Gate Memories. Let's go back to 2021, where Alan Schneider was giving out his selection for that year's Kentucky Derby. But soon thereafter, his selection was severely criticized by his co-host, a clearly inebriated Brandon Jaggers.
I'm willing to take a shot with Highly Motivated as my top selection, just over Hot Rod Charlie.
Come on, Alan. Don't, man. Don't do it.
Essential qualities right there, too.
Don't buy it. If you're buying the hype, you're telling yourself exactly what I want to tell you and all our listeners. I love this horse. This horse is great. It's a great horse. But it ain't going a mile and a quarter, dude.
That's a distinct possibility.
No, distinct possibility. I love you, man. I respect everything you got to say. I know. I want all that. The connections are there. You got the Chad Brown, you got Clairvich Stables, you got Into Mischief, you got all these things, all these very positive things. I just do not see this horse making the distance. I just don't do it. I don't see it. If this horse started at like Keeneland, it'd be a 1-2 favorite, and Chad Brown would fail. It just had happened in the spring like multiple times. It probably had like 10 times. I feel like it forever. So many times.
But soon thereafter, Jaggers completely forgot about his criticism of Highly Motivated and ultimately included him in a Superfecta box.
Okay, well, I'm going to do a dollar super with 5 horses. I want Known Agenda, Essential Quality, Highly Motivated, Obesos, and I'm coming to rock your world.
Only one of Jaggers' Superfecta selections hit the board that year, setting him up for one of the most embarrassing failures in horse racing handicapping history. Thanks for listening to Auxiliary Gate Memories. Now, back to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 224 of the Auxiliary Gate podcast. I'm CC Broaddus, and welcome to our Breeders' Cup preview show. I do believe this is the 6th one we've done over the last 6 years. Imagine that. Joining us, as always, Geoff Riggs. Geoff, I'm sorry, 4 out of 5 in today's pick 5 at Churchill Downs. Alive to, I believe, 7,000 and 21,000. The good news is it wasn't close in the last race, but how did you cope with something like that?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's better to lose that way than to lose by a nose or get DQ'd. Getting DQ'd was the worst way to lose because you think you got it, and then you have that inquiry pop up, and you're like, oh no, and then you have the waiting game, and it comes down. I've had a couple of those. Those are the worst. No, today was fine. I had a path to get there to use the winner in the last, but I would have had to go skinnier earlier, so I didn't feel too bad about it. I felt good about my handicapping today. You know, sometimes so you don't connect on all of them, but there's more of them out there.
What's your typical reaction when you miss out on a good one? Are you like, I'm so done with this? Or you immediately grab the racing form and look to the next day?
It depends on how bad. If it's a really, really bad one, I gotta take a second to breathe and recoup and all that before I go back into it because, you know, you don't want to go firing in on tilt. You know, poker players out there know what I'm talking about. If you take a real bad beat and you get on tilt and you can lose the rest of your stack easily that way. So sometimes you got to just take a second and ground yourself and come back with a clear head. But, you know, like the one today, I got no problem just going on to tomorrow because it's, didn't get there. But, hey, we were in position for a nice one.
I remember a long time ago, I was alive to a Wayne Catalano horse at Arlington for 6,000, 3 to 5 shot. 2 to 5 shots. I mean, looked like the only horse in the race. It was like a 10-horse field, but he was dropping down to like 10,000 or 5,000 or something like that. The drop didn't make sense, but he looked like he laid over him. And the 30 minutes between the next to last race and the last race were so much agony. I had to put myself through. And
it's beautiful agony, though, CC.
This time it was not. This time it was not. It was not good agony. I was really, I was pacing back and forth. And I got down to the last, and he led to the 16th pole, and every freaking horse in the race passed him. And a 40 to 1 shot that I would have never had won the race. I'd have had to hit the all button to win the race. And I think I took a few days off after. I was like, this is not worth it. This is too. I was just, I was so mad.
Yep.
I was so mad at that I put myself through all that. But usually,
Right.
I'm anxious to get back to it the next day. But that had an effect on me. So, all right. As most people know, Breeders' Cup is coming up this weekend, Del Mar, San Diego, California. And as always, a great wagering event and lots of horses, lots of international appeal. You've got horses from Europe, you've got horses from Japan, you got the best from America for the most part. And we decided to bring on our friend Dan Cronin of FatBallGuyRacing.com. And we're going to talk a little bit and then get his best bets, maybe some unique perspectives on this year's Breeders' Cup. Dan, how's it going?
Pretty good. You guys having me remind myself of some of my brutal beats over the years, and it was making me sweat listening to you guys.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love being alive for a lot of money. That's counterintuitive to what you're supposed to be, but I've been on the wrong end many a time over the years.
Yeah, I say over the years that, I keep telling people this, that you just got to keep putting yourself in the position to win money and get lucky. And you will, I know it don't seem like it, but you will win your share. You will, because you
Right.
put in the work and you got the right horses most of the time, and you'll get your share. I mean, I was alive for 65,000 to 2 MTO horses at Saratoga about 3 years ago for the pick 6, 7-horse field. They washed it off the turf. I got both MTOs. And I'm 4 in front in the stretch at about the 16th pole as they start pinging off each other. And they're just bumping and bumping and bumping. And here comes this freaking turf horse from Europe that didn't scratch out. And he nails both horses on the wire. That was the sickest I've ever been in my life. Of all the near misses, all the near hits, that was the one that sticks with me. Because you had the right 2 horses, right? You got the 2 MTOs. There's no way you can lose. You're not losing to a turf horse in a pouring down rain in the slop. And they just ding-donged themselves into the ground and started pinging off each other. Rosario and Johnny V pinging off each other. And here comes frickin' Where's Danny, and he nails me on the wire.
That was the name of the horse?
Yep. That even made it
Makes it so much worse.
Yep. Makes it so much worse.
I've told my story before to everybody. We even did a podcast on. We had Billy Denzik on several years ago. I was alive on a day like today. It was nasty weather, off the turf. I got down to the last. It was a pick 4, and I was down to the last leg. They may have not even had pick 5s back then. I can't remember, but I was alive anywhere from $1,200. There was one horse that paid $1,200. It was Steve Asmussen, and then everything else was boxcars. And the highest was 60,000. I had 9 of the 11 in the race. Had no money. I went through everything, and they're going to the gate. One of the 2 I don't have scratches, and there's only one horse in the race, and the horse looks terrible on paper. Slow works for Billy Denzik, and she busts the gate and goes wire to wire, and that pick 4 pays $50,000. I had 9 of the 10, and I didn't have the 10th one.
Oh my God. Do you guys remember years ago when the Breeders' Cup was at Churchill, and the one hole won probably every race all day long? The inside was just so much better than everything else. And I didn't have squat back then. I was just selling cars, trying to hustle and trying to, get my life together and not drink myself to death and gamble myself to death. And I had the pick 4 going, and I had caught Round Pond at 15-1. Thor's Echo was like 15 or 20-1. They were both one hole in the sprint and in the distaff. And then I caught Mesquite Approval, if I remember, was like 50-1 in the turf mile, if I remember right. And I'm alive to Bernardini. All I need is Bernardini, and I get like $80,000, which was like $1 million to me at the time. And I'm upstairs at River Downs, and I'm pacing back and forth. And I said, Dad, the only way I can lose this is Invasor. But all JJ's got to do from the 3-hole is stay on the rail. They have not. There's 2 other horses on the rail. He's going to beat them to the first turn. All he's got to do is drop over and never leave the rail, and he'll win as easy as you can win because the rail is so good. And Invasor's parked outside. He's not going to lose. And I'll be damned on the first turn if this idiot doesn't pull him back and take him into the 8 path on the backside on the blimp view. You can see him do it. He went all the way into the 8 path on the backside. I'm like, what on earth is he doing? Meanwhile, Jara's sitting in the back with Invasor sitting on the fence. And I'm like, look at this idiot. And then, of course, he moves 6 furlongs too soon. That's why we used to call him premature JJ for like 20 years. He would take off on the turn, make the lead, and here comes Invasor buzzing. He finally worked his way off the fence and comes 5 wide and follows Bernardini. And I'm like, the whole race, I knew I was going to lose. It was the worst feeling in the world. You know, you got a 3-5 shot, a supposed champion. You know, how are you going to lose? And I got him beat. I got him beat.
As I recall, Invasor was coming off he was coming
Yep.
off.
And back then, nobody did that.
That was I think last race in the Whitney.
Yep.
And that was like 3 months, and nobody, like you said, nobody did that ever.
Yep. Nobody. That's the only reason I didn't take him. Plus, you know, I didn't have that much money back then, so you spend a couple $100 on a ticket, you're like, oh man, that's a lot. I don't know if I can spend this much, you know. So I was a little nervous back then, and of course, it was just another story. I've got so many of them, but the good thing is, you know, as you stay in the game as long as I have, you do have some good ones, you know, with Strobe and some of these other ones. Blame 2 times with Blame when he beat the Pletcher horse up in the Whitney, I believe it was. I was up there and singled Blame in a bunch of bets and won an absolute ton of money, and everybody told me I was nuts. They all thought the Pletcher was going to win. Who's that Pletcher that went nuts in the gate in the Breeders' Cup Classic? And
Quality Road.
Yeah, Quality Road was like 1-5, and Blame was like 4-1, and I was just convinced that Blame was going to beat him. And yeah, that was a nice day. And then of course I had Blame and Zenyatta to finish the Breeders' Cup Classic for a monster hit that day. I singled Goldikova, took all in the dirt mile, and caught Dakota Phone at like 50-1. And then every year in the turf, for anybody listening, I just take all the Euros, or every Euro I can afford. I will not take an American horse in the pick 4s and 5s. And I caught Dangerous Midge that was like 12-1 or something. Nobody was using that horse. Everybody used the big favorite that was like 3-5. I think he just won the Arc. And, you know, so all I had left was Blame and Zenyatta, and caught the higher one. And yeah, that was a weird feeling. I was in the old Churchill Downs room on the 3rd floor right there before the first turn. And, we were the only people celebrating. Everybody else was crying.
That's right. I remember we were there. That was a strange night. That was like one of the first Breeders' Cups to ever be run at night.
Yep, and people walked out of there like somebody died.
Yeah, and I remember the sky was really pink.
Yep.
And it was beautiful. The weather was pretty decent, and that was one of the greatest races I've ever seen. And you were right. There were people crying. And I'll be honest, I was more impressed with that race by Zenyatta than any of the other ones that she had won.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Okay, she's because I always thought, well, they campaigned her kind of light because they could have shipped her east several times. They did run in the Apple Blossom, I think, twice.
Yeah, but they scratched her on Derby Day. I think it was at the Ali Sheba she was supposed to run in.
Yeah, you're right. And then that last year she was supposed to run against Rachel Alexandra. That's the kind of the flip side of the coin, though. They campaigned the hell out of Rachel Alexandra as a 3-year-old, and I think that burned her up a little bit because she was never the same the following year. So that meeting never did take place. Remember, Oaklawn was going to put up like $5 million,
right,
for those two to
run.
run.
If they both showed up. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it never did happen, but.
Yeah, when she ran by us on the first turn, because if you remember the night before, Life is 10 should have been scratched, and they put her in the gate anyway. And they all broke, and she was like 25 lengths behind the last horse. Well, so we were on the third floor, walked out, watched it. We're like, oh man, the big favor. What happened? Well, with that in the back of my head, when Zenyatta passed me on the first turn, I looked right at my dad and said, oh my God, they're going to pull her up. And I'm thinking how bad my luck is that I got like $60,000, $80,000 coming if she wins, and all I got's her and blame. I'm thinking this is nice. An undefeated champion, they're going to pull her up. And that's all I could think about the whole turn because she was so far back. I mean, I don't know what the heck Mike Smith was doing. He had her 15 lengths behind the last horse. That was the greatest race in a losing effort I think I've ever saw a horse run.
Yeah, you're probably right. That was it was a great race though. Very exciting. If you remember that year, you're talking about a golden rail when Bernardini ran second. That year, the rail was dead at Churchill.
Yes.
For 2 days, and like I mean, you just have to go back and watch it. But finally, late in the day in the sprint, I think Big Drama won the sprint, and he was on the rail, and his jockey broke him out of the gate, and he got off the rail, and that was the difference in winning and losing. That rail was absolutely it was door nail dead that day.
Yep. What a memory. There's been some great Breeders' Cup memories over the years. I've had some bad ones, but that was some of the better ones for sure. Zenyatta, that whole era, that 2 or 3, 4 years, we had some great races. And even the one at Churchill with which a lot of people say might have been the best classic ever, when the Euro horse was drifting all the way to the outside.
Plain, yeah.
Yeah, and Awesome Again came between them, and I mean that was a hell of a day. That's why I get so mad that Churchill doesn't want to host it, because let's face it, it should be a 5-year rotation, 2 in California, 1 at Del Mar, 1 at Santa Anita, and then it should be Belmont, Churchill, Keeneland, period. And until somebody else builds a facility that can hold it, that's the way you should do it. And I don't understand why Churchill just doesn't want to have it. I know it's all over money, but it's just silly to me. I mean, it's the fairest track, the fairest turf. The Euros love it. It's the shortest travel for everybody. You know, the New York, the Florida, even the California horses don't have to come that far. The Euros love it. It's just crazy to me that they don't. I mean, it's been a number of years. What's it since when Roy H. and Accelerate, was that the last year there? Or was there another one?
I think you're right. Except I was thinking Enable won the turf.
Yeah, Enable won the turf, and then I chickened out and didn't bet the Classic in the BCBC. I had 25 grand. I was in 15th place, and I did exactly what we were just talking about. I chickened out.
I remember I was alive to like 8 horses in the Classic.
Yeah, I kept staring at we stared at the Classic that year, and I was like, well, I'm not convinced Accelerate's going to win, but man, I can't find anybody I like. So I was like, the hell with it. I'm taking my money home. Matt Miller would be strangling me right now if he knew that. He, preaching that you got to fire that last bet if you're going to win it. But I should have just fired the whole 24 grand on Enable and made the exacta with the other Euro. They were going to run 1-2, and they did. But I chickened out.
Hey, let's talk about the state of horse racing right now. What do you think? What do you make of these computer assisted wagers? These teams? What do you make of that?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not that I'm mad at the guys that are doing it. I mean, everybody in the world's trying to get an advantage in every business on the planet. But there's no reason for horse racing executives to give them an unfair advantage. I mean, if you want to do it, you cut them off at 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes to post, like every normal human being bets, other than my brother that wants to run up there with, as they're half loaded. Make them make the bet ahead of time, and then we can all deal with it. But don't give them data behind the scenes that the rest of us don't get. They should never have access to pick 4 and pick 5 pools to where they can stare at all the combinations and know exactly what everything's going to pay. So then they can hit their algorithm to cover all the other bases. I mean, if you're betting like a rainbow pick six and they can stare at every other combination to know, oh, wait, these four are not covered. And then they just pop the bet in and now that's covered. That's not fair. That kind of stuff's not fair. And I'm still convinced they're betting after the race starts at some tracks. And I think it was pretty obvious at Keeneland that there was some funny business going on. Because that stuff doesn't happen. Like today at Churchill, you don't hear any complaints. It didn't happen.
No, there's been a lawsuit filed now, but I don't know if that's going to get anywhere or not.
I don't know either, but they do have a nice big law firm behind them, which will help. But I don't know how far that'll get. But if they can just get all the tracks to be on the same page, 2 minutes to post, I don't even think is good enough. I think it needs to be like 5 minutes to post to where we can all see what they did and adjust. Why should they get some unfair advantage to say, oh, well, this horse is an overlay at 8-1, so let's pound him in the gate to 3-1. I mean, I don't know.
That's if that were to happen, the CAW money would dry up, I think. But the ADW I used to work for had a few of those CAWs, and I didn't notice that they were absolutely killing it. I think some days they'd lose money, some days they'd make a little bit of money, but they
that's
were
the thing. They don't want to make money. They're not trying to make money. They're trying to break even.
Yeah, they were in it for the rebates, just break even.
All they're doing. Because that's what I do. That's one of my several jobs in horse racing that people don't know about because I don't really promote it that much is, I'm an agent and I get, a very small fee from players that use my ADW. And so I know what people are betting and, how much they're betting and how this all works and how much rebate everybody's getting. So when I tell you that the calls are getting an unfair advantage, it's a lot more than you think. The biggest of the big players, say like on a New York Saratoga pick 4, are getting like 13%, which I know sounds unbelievable. I get 10.75. The biggest players get 13. The calls are getting 15 to 16. Now think about that. They're getting 16% on every pick 4 that they bet. They're getting in the win pools, they're getting somewhere in the 10 to 12% area where the normal guy's getting 4 or 5%. So they're getting double. So all they're trying to do is if they bet $10 million and they break even, you can do the math. If they average between all the pools, say 10% to make the math easy, they're making $1 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what if you lose a little bit? You lose 200,000, you still made 800,000.
There's still money in it for the average guy if you want to play harness. If you can find the right ADW to play harness, Greyhound. Of course, Greyhound's not hardly legal anywhere, but the takeout's so high, and these places will give you really nice rebates. But the problem is nobody wants to play harness anymore.
Right, yeah, because some of the biggest harness players, those guys were getting 22, 23%, and they were still losing. It's it's unbelievable. You would think, well, how the hell do you lose if you get that kind of rebate? But they were.
This outfit I was working for, I think there was a track in Argentina or Chile. They had a pick 6 wager that the takeout was 50%.
Oh my God.
And they were offering like 37% rebates, but nobody would take it because, who knows anything about Argentina or Chile or Chilean. I can't remember what country it was. It's somewhere in South America. But
Well, you're probably going to be the whole pool too.
that's a good point. I mean, CAW couldn't play that,
Right.
Like I remember, was it Lone Star or Sam Houston? They said they had CAW wagering into those pools, and like they're not even allowed to take out of state money right now. Because of HISA, they got a lawsuit against HISA.
Huh. Well, I know these calls, they love California racing. They love because they cater to them. They sit them up in these fancy rooms at Santa Anita, and they got all their computer screens spread out. I mean, they sit right there on the track.
Yeah.
And they cater to them. They give them free food, free drinks, free everything. Hey, come on in, bet your $20 million. And and again, I wouldn't care if they would just not make it unfair. You can't let them have data that nobody else gets. It's just not fair.
Right. Right. Well, I always wondered about rebates. Are rebates legal? If that were
That's
pursued,
still a gray area.
if that was, it's pari-mutuel wagering, which means the track gets a cut and everybody else shares the winner's share in the pools. But, there's no law that says one way or the other that the track can share its part with the people that wager. So I always wondered if that was legal or something.
Well, there's a lot of dissension amongst the three biggest ADWs on the bet shares. You remember we used to do those with Dark Horse Bet, and California Racing Board is the one that shut us down, and they named my name specifically in the board minutes about doing pools, bet share tickets through Dark Horse Bet, and their claim was that it's basically bookmaking because of the rebate. Where Twin Spires started it a few years later, and their attorneys think everything's fine with it. But don't you think it's odd that TVG and ExpressBet will not do them?
Yeah, I get you. I love those bet
All
shares.
because there is no agreement on that. And the problem is, like with Twin Spires, here's the argument behind the scenes. Say 40 people enter your bet share ticket. You're saying 30 different states. Well, what state gets the source market fee?
Yeah.
If 10 of them are from California, they're supposed to get 8%.
Yeah.
So,
looks like that would be easy enough, though. They could design some type of algorithm that would divide that up properly.
Right, but the argument is, do all 40 or all 30 states get a small piece of that bet share, or does whoever, say it was your ticket and you live in Kentucky, does Kentucky get the whole thing because you are the one that made the ticket? You're the one that orchestrated the ticket, what they called the master account. So does the state where that ticket went get the entire thing, or does all 30 states get a piece on every single bet share? That's the argument. And nobody's been able, there's no court case that's ever established which way is legal.
Yeah. That's probably not even close to being on their radar either.
No, they don't care. Hell, they're barely raiding poker games only because of the mafia.
Yeah.
If the mafia wasn't involved, they would have never got raided.
Jeff Riggs would be perfect to give out those bet shares, but he wants to keep everything to himself.
He don't want everybody.
I like the bet shares, but that's interesting how you're talking about how they have all those gray areas. My least favorite thing about the bet shares on Twin Spires is that you don't get rewards points for them.
Well, and that's right, because they're afraid to issue a rebate or rewards because
exactly.
Who do they issue it to? All 40 guys, or to the guy that orchestrated the ticket?
All right.
Right. So any kind of, if you get any kind of promotion or anything, say like when they have like 8 times points, or even when they have like a 4 or 5 thing, like if you get your money back if you hit 4 or 5 on a pick 5, you're not eligible for that either. So any kind of promotion you're not eligible for. So that's
oh wow,
that's the only thing against bet shares for me, at least as far as Twin Spires go.
It'll be interesting moving forward on that part.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's switch gears. Let's get back to the fun stuff. Breeders' Cup Classic. Now this is not so fun. Sovereignty's out. That's been announced Wednesday morning. Had a virus maybe Tuesday evening, and I assume the virus didn't get any better, or maybe a temperature. Not a virus, but a temperature maybe.
Yeah, and, damn California weather.
Yeah, shipping in probably didn't help, and yeah, so Sovereignty's out. What do you make of this Breeders' Cup Classic now without the 6-5 favorite?
I think it makes it a lot more wide open in my estimation, because as I told you guys off the air, that was going to be my all-in bet if I got enough money in the BCBC. I was just going to go all in on Sovereignty and be done with it and try to get to the goal amount. But man, the race doesn't change as far as the front end until they turn for home, I think. And now Baeza comes into play, I think. Obviously, Sierra Leone's got a way better chance to win because he was going to have to storm home right next to that monster and outrun him. I think Forever Young's got a better chance. That I didn't think he had much of a chance. Now I think he's got a much better chance. And I don't think it changes fierceness and mind frame at all, because if they were going, either one of them were going to win, they're going to run some monster number where they run off the screen and nobody ever catches them. And that would have included Sovereignty to me. I mean, if Fierceness would have been 3 in front and would have kept going, it wouldn't have mattered who was chasing him. Now, I still am not convinced Fierceness is going to keep running, especially unless, I mean, don't you, I mean, even though Rapoli owns both horses, he's not going to tell one of them not to try in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So with these running styles, don't they have to hook up on the turn? Unless one of them is just way better than the other one, which I'm not so sure they are. I mean, when they turn the bend at the 6 furlong pole, when Contrary Thinking fades out of it, and Fierceness and Mind Frame make their first move, and maybe that Nevada Baffert horse will be right with them at that point, they're going to go and try to make their move. Don't they have to be nose to nose? I mean, unless one of them's just way better, which is going to make them have to run. And if that happens when they turn for home, then Baeza, Forever Young, Sierra Leone, somebody's going to come storming. And my money thinks that Sierra Leone's going to be the one storming home. But I think those other two got big chances now, which I never even considered them before.
I think it's free for all turning for home. I mean, they're all going after that $7 million purse. So, yeah, I don't think they mind one way or the other. But okay, let's talk about your superlatives for this weekend. First of all, let's talk about FatBallGuyRacing.com real quick.
Yeah, we're rolling. Everybody else is complaining in horse racing, and we just keep growing. We've been growing for 13 years, and it hasn't stopped. We just keep getting bigger because our prices are not bad. You know, they're especially nowadays with inflation through the roof for the last 5 years. I mean, we raised prices basically $3 a month over the last 13 years. That's the only thing we've moved in 13 years. So we're very affordable. We got the WhatsApp, we got the meetups. You know, it's fatballguyracing.com. We don't want people to just join for one weekend. We'd like you to join for the whole year so you get it all and get to meet other people. You guys have met a lot of us, and, you know, there ain't a lot of us left. And I think it's fun to have some common thinking people to, you know, if you're going to go to Keeneland, hey, come down from New York, come up from Tennessee, let's all meet, have some fun. And that's just kind of part of it. It's not just picks. So that's what kind of separates us from anybody else is, you know, you make friends for life. And, you know, so we've been around and we're not going anywhere.
All right. Sounds good. Let's talk about on both days, Friday and Saturday, your most likely winner. I think this is important because if you're making out pick 4, pick 5, pick 3 tickets, whatever you're going to do, if you can have that one anchor that you know was going to be there for you, I think that's going to go a long way to maybe saving you some money on your ticket. Maybe you can double up, triple up on whatever that ticket is. So who's your most likely winner for the weekend?
I would think probably Ted and Offie. I mean, not that you're going to get a price, but I mean, man, on numbers, on post position, on rider, class, trainer, he reminds me so much of Uncle Mo. And I just don't think there's much in the field. It's already a short field. He's going to jog to the first turn, second or third. He's not going to get in any trouble. And it's just, you know, unless he just absolutely hates that track, I don't see how he possibly loses.
Okay. And that's in the juvenile. That's on Friday.
Yep.
And now let's go to your best bet. And what I mean by that is the horse that you're looking forward to, a horse that you think you're going to make a decent amount of money on. Not necessarily a heavy favorite or not necessarily a long shot, but the one that you are looking forward to.
Well, I've been looking forward to this horse since he ran at Churchill, and I was getting a little nervous because so many people were calling me on the horse. So I was actually really happy when you told me that the Thoroughgraph guy doesn't like him. I was really, really happy, and I'm hoping when I turn the TV on, they all knock him too, especially Andy Serling. I'm hoping he hates him. But Ben Tornado in the sprint reminds me of Roy H. And the fact that Copian drew the rail and he drew the 10 hole made me just jump through the screen. I was so happy. Now, you're probably only going to get 5-2. I don't think you're going to get lower than that because straight no chaser is going to take money. That morning line's silly. Copian's going to take a bunch of money. So I think the price will hold. I don't think he's going to open 6-5. I really think we're going to get $7, and my entire BCBC will be tied around him.
All right. What a pleasure it is that we've got 14 horses in the sprint finally. I've seen years with 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we got a full field for once. That's a good thing. So your price will probably hold on Ben Tornado, I think. So
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that filly takes a boatload of money.
yeah, and I think she will. So all right, move on to your best long shot key. And what I mean by this is a horse that maybe 8-1 or higher that you think could hit the board and light up, your exotics like your exactas, trifectas, superfectas, and stuff like that.
I think you got to go to the Philly 2-year-old turf race on Friday and look at a horse named Final Accord, who's 15-1 morning line for Mark Cassie and Jose Ortiz. First of all, I got a saying on big days and at Saratoga, Jose at a price. That sucker rides more prices of all the big name riders. He's always riding prices because he's never, until he went to the fairgrounds, he never got the 3-5 shots. His brother did, or Pratt did. So he was always on 4-1s, 5-1s, 8-1s. So the fact that this horse is 15-1, when I saw Jose, I went, oh yeah, this is perfect. The horse's numbers fit. He's undefeated, or she's undefeated. Mark Cassie has always done well on these bigger days. He knows what horses to bring, and I don't think there's any way he would have brought her if he didn't think she had a big, big chance, because he could have left her, in Canada, or he could have left her, at Churchill and just kind of wrapped up for the winter. And I really think this horse has got a big chance. 15-1. I'm putting in my exactas, my trifectas. I'm going to use in some doubles because let's remember too, the big favorite drew the parking lot, so that even made the race more intriguing to me. Is Precise drew the parking lot.
And finally, which horse on the 2 days is the most vulnerable favorite? Where can we find value by beating the favorite?
Well, I'm hoping I don't have to worry about it by then, but I think it's the last race on Saturday, the filly and mare turf. I think she feels pretty as an underlay. I'm not saying she can't win, but as the probable favorite, I think she'll go off favorite. I'll be shocked if she doesn't. Just drawing the 13 hole, going a distance she's never been, off a pretty long layoff for her. I mean, August 16th all the way to the Breeders' Cup is a long time to wait to face the best field you've ever faced. And you get a bad post, and now you got to go an extra, furlong or whatever, half a furlong to when they turn for home. I think she's going to be head bobbing. Unfortunately, like happens a lot in the filly and mare turf, I think somebody's going to come from the back and get her. And I like a couple long shots from Europe in there. So I'm hoping I don't even have to worry about it. But I just think there's so many horses in there that are going to be coming at the end that she's going to be life or death to hold them off.
Hey, let's not bury the lead now. There's a long shot in here that we talked about last night that might go wire to wire.
Yep.
Let's talk about her.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to take Stellify but me. She's 30-1. She's Brad Cox. She's Florent Giroux. And like I said last night, I mean, she doesn't stop. So if they would just dismiss her, if Irad on the other speed horse, Be Your Best, says, Stella, if I can't win, let her go. I'll sit second, 2 lengths behind her. Man, I'm telling you, she don't stop. She's running up and down in hills at Kentucky Downs, and nobody gained an inch on her. So she's win 4 in a row. I know her numbers are a little light, but they're getting better and better. She's third off the layoff. She's Brad Cox. And when they turn for home, if she's 2 in front, good luck to them. I'm going to have her in doubles and pick 5s and pick 4s and try to light the board up.
You heard it here first. I bet nobody else is giving that one out.
No. Everybody else is like, is this guy smoking something?
Yeah. That's all right. That's what we want. We want those kind. That's who you want to win. All right.
You can get those kind of prices on this weekend too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost guaranteed something like that's going to happen. So why can't it be us with this filly?
Right.
All right. Switch gears real quick. Let's talk about some college basketball. What do you think about UCLA this coming winter?
Well, he's got the best point guard he's ever had in his entire 25-year coaching career. This kid, Donovan Dent, is absolutely electric. I mean, he is as good as any point guard. My dad and I were arguing over the comparisons. I compare him to Derrick Rose. He compares him to SGA. So we've got some big-time guys we're comparing him to. But he is a 17-point-a-game, 10-assist-a-game guy every single night. He's unguardable. So that's going to really help him in the Big Ten. You know, when every game seems to go down to the wire, that you got a guy that they can't guard. You know, they're going to pick and roll with him and spread the floor. They've got 4 really good three-point shooters. I don't know if they're as good as the team that probably would have won the national title if Clark doesn't blow his Achilles against Arizona the last game of the year, and then Bona dives on the floor and separates his shoulder. So you got 2 NBA players that are out for the tournament, and you get beat on a 30-footer at the buzzer in the Sweet 16. That team would have probably won the national title. I mean, they had Campbell and Amari Bailey and Jaquez. I mean, they were absolutely loaded. But this team has the guards to play with anybody. And so I think he's going to have an incredible year this year. I will be shocked if he's not a 1, 2, or 3 seed at the end of the year, and he's praying to get the right draw to get to the Sweet 16 again.
Now, being in the Big Ten now, there's going to be a lot of travel. Does that travel take a lot out of a team?
Yeah, they weren't ready for it. He wasn't ready for it last year. They crossed the Mississippi into the Eastern Time Zone 7 times, 6 times after January, and it just wears on you. You know, the kids missed. This is true now. From January 1st to April 1st, they missed 5 full weeks of school.
Good night.
5 full weeks, because the Big Ten refuses to do what the old Pac-12 did, which is play Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. They want to play with 2 days in between. Well, when you're coming all the way from California, that means, you know, if you play on Wednesday, you're not playing again until Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So now you don't fly out till either Saturday after the game or Sunday morning. So you leave California on Tuesday, have practice at, you know, Rutgers on Tuesday, and you don't get back into your dorm room till Sunday. That's a big deal. Where the teams coming from the East, it's not as big of a deal because you're coming to California, you get 1 hotel room, you never change hotel rooms, and you play USC on Thursday, UCLA on Sunday, and you fly home Sunday night. So you don't have to have that other travel where UCLA and USC got to go from, you know, Wisconsin to Minnesota or from Illinois to Indiana. You know, they got to pack up after the game, get back on a plane, you know, fly to the next city. I mean, it's a nightmare. You know, and everybody says, well, he signed up for it. Trust me, he did not sign up for it. He was furious. As in, every coach out there was furious. Nobody wanted to do this, but, you know, the suits wanted it because of the money. And, you if the Pac-12 commissioner would have made the correct decision years ago when Texas and Oklahoma wanted to join the Pac-12 and he told them no, none of this would ever happen.
What about the local teams, Louisville and Kentucky?
They're both going to be really, really good. I think Kentucky's a little better than Louisville on paper. Louisville's problem is they got a freshman phenom point guard that, boy, did he play bad the other night. But he's got tons of talent, Brown. But they're going to be really dependent on him, and that's hard to do against some of these top-notch teams is depend on a freshman point guard. But, they got shooters all around, and they got some big guys that can play, and they're a legitimate top 15 team, which is great for Pat. People that don't know, I grew up with Pat and actually hosted him at my college at Bethel College on a visit. He was a senior at Elder High School, and I was a senior at Bethel, and he was going to come to Bethel until the last second when his uncle, who was an assistant coach at Wyoming, their point guard flunked out. So he called Pat and said, "You want to come to Wyoming and play Division I?" And of course he jumped at that. So that's the only reason he didn't follow my footsteps at Bethel. He was a really good player, and I've known him my whole life. His father actually hired me for my first job ever. His father was the freshman coach at Roger Bacon when my dad was the varsity coach. So we all grew up together. So I root for Pat like crazy, and I love the fact that he needs like 100 tickets. People that don't know, that's the biggest family you've ever seen. His dad's like one of 18, and when his grandfather died, we were at the funeral, and they had the grandchildren bring the gifts up at the mass, and there was like 70 kids. It was unbelievable, from 1 year old to 15 years old. I've never seen so many kids. We were looking at each other, just cracking up, laughing, like, how many grandkids can this guy have? But they got a great family, so I love Pat. I think he's going to do a great job, and Coach Pope does a great job at Kentucky. Obviously they both got a lot of money to get players, but Kentucky looked really good the other night against Purdue. So I think both teams are going to have an incredible year. Up here, Cincinnati should have an okay year. He better make the tournament, or he's in deep trouble job-wise. And Xavier, you might want to just be like a bear and go to sleep and wake up in March.
It's going to be a rough year for my Muskies, I think. My sister went to Xavier's, big Xavier fan, and so am I. And it's going to be rough for old Richard, but I think he'll build something good if you give him some time. Speaking of Xavier in Louisville, though, I know he hadn't done a whole lot so far, but Ryan Conwell's transfer from Xavier to Louisville this year, and give that guy a little time to settle in, because when he gets rolling, he is absolutely electric. He was one of the most electric guards in the country last year at times.
Yeah, he can really shoot it. When he gets going, he'll make 5 or 6 in a row on you in the drop of a hat. He can really shoot it. And so Geoff, since you're a Xavier fan, you'll love this. When Ricky got hired, Ricky and Mick are the closest of friends. It's Kevin Willard, Ricky, and Mick are like those three are inseparable. They all coached at Louisville together and became really close friends. And so when Ricky took the job, he called Mick and said, "Anyway, your brother and dad can come to my press conference." And Mick started laughing. He's like, "Well, you obviously don't understand the rivalry between Cincinnati and Xavier."
That's great.
So my dad agreed to go. I said, "There ain't no way. I love you, Ricky, and I'll root for you, but there ain't no way I'm going to that press conference and wearing blue. That's not happening." But my dad agreed to go as long as the 3 news channels agreed to not show him on camera. So he was sitting hysterical. He was in the background behind all the cameras supporting Rick, but wouldn't go on camera because he didn't want all the Cincinnati fans mad at him.
Man, that's awesome. It is a bitter rivalry. A lot of people around here know UK U of L, but Cincy and Xavier is just as tenacious and can get even nastier at times. So it's for real.
The Cintas Center is a place that I love watching games, but I don't want to ever go there again for UC Xavier. It's rough. It's rough. I walked out of there with blue paint all over me one year. They were throwing paint on the UC. They were throwing paint at the bench and these water bottles that broke open and the paint went all over the place. And it was it's a wild event. But now it's like I don't know, how am I going to root for them? I guess I got to now. So it's like, well, I'll root every game but one. But yeah, it's going to be a rough year for the Muskies this year. But I really think he's a good coach, and he plays a style that they're going to love. He goes up and down the floor, and he coaches a lot like Pat Kelsey. So, yeah, I think he'll get it going. It'll just take him a couple years and some money. They've all them boosters better. They got all that Cintas money. They need to get that money.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Dan, we'll let you get back to work. I know you're busy this week, probably your second busiest week of the year, but we appreciate you coming on and talking a little business with us. And if you missed earlier, go to fatballguyracing.com and check out his work that he does. And good luck to you this weekend, and we'll catch up soon. How about that?
Well, you guys will know before Nisos runs if I'm broke or not. So it could get exciting, or it could get to where we're eating dinner and we don't care.
Well, we'll be rooting for you. How about that?
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, Dan.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
All right. FBG at your service. Let's move on. Geoff Riggs, we want to pick your brain about this weekend's Breeders' Cup as well. Let's talk about the same questions I asked Dan. Let's get your most likely winner on the weekend.
Yeah, I've kind of struggled with this one because there are a lot of good options. I know Dan went with Ted Noffey, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of good reasoning behind that. But I'm going to get a little more creative and look to the turf on Saturday, race 8, and go with Mini Hawk out there. That's got an ascending, lightly raced 3-year-old filly. She was favored and ran well to be second in the ARC by only a head, which kind of speaks for itself. And that race was over soft ground. I think the key here is the connections have been on the record saying the faster the ground, the better for her, which isn't necessarily always the case for these European type runners. So this is one I think could really, really take to the turf over here. She should get the fastest turf she's ever been on Saturday. I think she's just the next Aidan O'Brien superstar in a long line that we've seen for a long time. And it's one where I don't think she's going to be 1-5 because we have the presence of Rebels Romance, who absolutely has to be respected. 20 for 29 lifetime, looking to become the first 3-time winner of this race too. So, definitely needs to be respected, but he's one where maybe we've seen his best. He's 7-year-old gelding. He's run 29 times. Kind of looking for the up and comer here. I think she's a very likely winner, and I think we could see something special from Mini Hawk.
I'll tell you what about that filly too. Since she's a 3-year-old filly, she gets at least 7. Yeah, she gets 7 pounds from any of the older rivals. So like Rebels Romance.
Point.
Yeah, Rebels Romance carries 126. She carries 119. But now I will say, I think I read a tweet yesterday that Christophe Soumillon may not be able to ride that weight. So maybe something to keep.
Oh, interesting. So maybe a little, yeah.
Maybe something to keep an eye on. Because that 7 pounds is quite a bit when you're going a mile and a half. I think that's probably what.
It is, yeah. You're getting an apprentice weight break in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah. And, she's obviously proven that she can run against older horses. That's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. She's obviously up to the task. So,
yep.
Yeah, if she's in there at anything like 119, 120, I think that's a significant difference. Did you see, speaking of horses in the turf, have you seen Goliath walk?
Yes.
Walk in the morning. He's got it's a condition called string halt.
Yep.
And he just hikes his leg up and walks. It's crazy. I've seen that before with him. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It's a reflex kind of deal. I've seen it before, and it's a little jarring to look at the first time you see it for sure. It looks very odd, and you'd think something's wrong with the horse, but apparently it's just him.
He's got a shot in here, and for John Stewart, Resolute Racing, previous podcast guest. He actually broke that news to us after the podcast.
Yep, sure did.
Part of a Goliath
that day that we had him on, that they acquired, and I mean this has to be, this race right here has to be what they were thinking when they made that acquisition.
Yeah, yep. Anyway, okay, I'll give you my best bet. or excuse me,
Most
like
likely winner.
most likely winner.
Yeah.
And that is in the last race on Saturday, Cinderella's Dream. And I'm just saying this for one reason. Charlie Appleby was interviewed by one of those guys from FanDuel about
Uh-huh.
all of his horses. He thought they asked him which horse he wants to win the most, and that was Rebel's Romance. And then
Uh-huh.
they asked him who he thought would win out
Mm-hmm.
of all of them, and he said Cinderella's Dream is probably the one. So I thought that was interesting because he's got
That is.
Noble Speech, he's got Rebel's Romance. So yeah, Cinderella's Dream will be my most likely winner. And
Wow. That's a good one to have. I mean, she's going to take money for sure, but I mean, she's not going to be odds on.
I'll have something to her. I've got some upsets along the way
Mm-hmm.
because I got this Thoroughgraph seminar. I'll tell you what, it's going to be wild if some of the stuff that he says, like he's not so into Nisos, and there's some others along the way that
Wow. A couple big favorites, huh?
yeah, and
He's just going to be the anti-Dan Cronin out there.
he's kind of against Notorious. I was really on Notorious,
Yeah.
not Notorious. Shit,
Motorious.
no, Rhetorical.
Oh,
Rhetorical.
rhetorical. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you. Yeah.
he didn't
Will
like
Walden. Yeah.
he didn't like Rhetorical. There's a few others in there that he's
That
against.
horse ran huge at Keeneland.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe he does that again. If he does that again. But anyway, all right, moving right along. Best bet on the weekend.
Well, speaking of Motorious, who I thought you were talking about but weren't, that is my best bet on the weekend in the turf sprint. This is a race that looks absolutely wide open on paper, and so those are the times when I like to try and get skinny in my multi-race exotics when everybody else is spreading. Motorius absolutely loves Del Mar. 4 for 5, with the only loss being last time when he was just incredibly unlucky. Loves the 5 furlongs. The last race was just insane. Was sandwiched at the break, dropped back out to last, like way last, not just a little bit last, like 3 lengths last, which in a 5 furlong turf sprint is way last. We had to go insanely wide around the turn, probably 8, 9, 10 wide around the turn, and absolutely flying late only to lose by a nose. And that's the only time he's ever lost at Del Mar. So, like, I don't think we're going to get that bad of a trip. Yeah, and as I said before, I mean, I just think that a lot of people are going to go really deep in here. There are a lot of really interesting contenders in the race. But I think Motorius is the best it's ever been, and it has the home court advantage, which I think is a huge deal. I know not everybody's a horse for course kind of person, but I definitely am. So that's one I feel really, really good about betting on the win end. I think we'll get, decent enough price on, and more so singling in the multi-race exotics.
Okay. Best bet for me.
Mm-hmm.
See, I shouldn't have watched the Thoroughgraph, but Ben Tornado was the one I liked the most. I thought that race at Churchill was incredible. I know he didn't beat a whole lot,
Uh-huh.
but he didn't beat a whole lot. But dang, he looked good. He looked good doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and he Trey, turn your camera off. There you go. Good boy. Yeah, and he looked good getting off the plane this week.
Yeah.
Man, he looks like $3 million.
That's what I was going to say. When I saw him get off that trailer and he was just touting himself and pulling the guy around, I mean, he looks like an absolute pit bull out there ready to roll. So
Yeah.
he
And
really
then,
got on their radar even more so after that.
but then the pure Kool-Aid drinking Sheets player says that he's going to bounce to the moon because he ran a career top in the sprint last year. He comes off a layoff and he matches his career top at Churchill in the Louisville Thoroughbred Society. And since it knocked him out last year, the suggestion would be it will knock him out again, and he's going to bounce in here. So you got two schools of thought on this. So I don't know what to do, but I mean, as of right now, on Wednesday night, he's my best bet. But I don't know. All right, Trey Server
Objective
is
change.
here, pharmacist to the stars, live from Richmond, Kentucky. Trey, what are you doing?
I have finally got my kids to bed, and I am finally able to focus a little bit on this Breeders' Cup. And I have no idea what you're talking about, so I apologize. I missed the first few minutes, so I'm just happy to be here.
Well, nobody's ever missed what I've said, but
Well,
hey, you missed FBG. He was here earlier.
oh darn.
Yeah, we got a good hour with him, and but he is the we're gonna call it. We're calling it early. He's going to win the BCBC going away.
Uh-oh. Well, I hope I can join in on the fun then.
Yeah. All right. This weekend, we need your most likely winner and best bet so you can get caught up, Trey.
All right. My
Most
most,
What I mean by that is the horse that absolutely will win, and you're going to bank on that. That's the one that you don't have to spend any more money on your ticket.
well, I've got to go with Ted Noffey just because won here in my hometown and looked impressive doing it. And I think has the speed set up and the pace is going to be fast, and he'll sit right off the pace and pull a fierceness and win going away.
Okay. And then best bet, the horse that you're looking forward to betting.
The
most.
horse that actually I'm most looking forward to betting comes in the race prior with Precise being the favorite. I'm going to go one inside to Pacific Mission for a 15-1 upset.
Kinky. And why is that?
I watched a couple replays before I hopped on, and obviously Precise is the goods, winning four in a row. Not sure how to make they run a straight line, so it's hard to tell how they'll handle turns. But Pacific Mission was just on the outside of a kind of a group of five, and hit the front, and then got a little tired, and it was soft footing, so it was probably a little tired, and first time going long. I'm going to give this horse a shot.
All right, let's swing back to Geoff now. Now we're going to talk about a long shot key for some of you vertical players, the guys that play exactas, tries, superfectas. Give us a horse.
Well, after Trey's best bet being 15-1, I feel a little silly making my long shot key a horse that's 8-1. But hear me out on this because it's in the juvenile, the race you guys were just talking about with Ted Noffey, who's going to be 1-2 in there probably. Going to be just an absolute extremely short price odds on. Brant is going to take a ton of money. Blackout Time's going to take money. So it's going to be those three. Everybody's going to have those three in their try, in their exacta, everything in those vertical wagers. But Intrepido might fly under the radar in here and be the key to a better than expected payout in this race if we can just split up those obvious three, even if he doesn't win. He could win the race, but his American Pharoah win was even better than it looks. He had an absolutely rough trip, rolling late, should get plenty of pace to stalk, be in a perfect position, save ground from the rail. I think he's our key. Maybe he can pull off the upset, but like we've said, Ted Noffey is something's going to happen for Ted Noffey to not win this race. But if we can get Intrepido in second or third and just hammer that try real skinny, I think we can find value in there.
All right, sounds good. I like it. I think something screwy's going to happen in here. Anyway, either Brant's going to get out on an easy lead and do like Baffert always does in these races out there. He really does well in the juvenile. I think he's won it 6 or 7 times, maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
I think 6, yeah.
6. And then, and I know at least 2 of them were out in California recently.
Mm-hmm.
I think both times he did it wire to wire. I think Brant could pull an upset here, or something weird's going to happen. Ted Noffey's going to finish off the board, or Brant's going to finish off the board, or something like that. So I think he got a shot to split those two at the very least. So, Trey, long shot key.
Well, that was going to be my long shot key. So I am trying to pick somebody else here very quickly. I'm going to give you a really long shot key that I think could hit the board and blow it up. And that is going to come in the same race as Intrepido. I think Blackout Time is going to be very tough, but I think Mr. AP at 30-1 could hit the board.
Yeah. I think horse had a giant sheet number in his second start. Like maybe maybe the fastest or the co-fastest thoroughbred number in the race, which is interesting. Then he regressed. So at the price, you're going to get what, 10, 12, 15 to 1 on him. I think that horse is worth, if you like him, he's 30 to 1 on the morning line. So if you like him,
He'll
he's
be
at,
higher than that, I think, because those three are going to take a ton of money, and
yeah.
yeah.
I just see this race being a wicked pace. I think Comport is going to go. I think Litmus Test is going to go. I think Brandt's got to go. I could see this being a 21, 44, 43, and it just melting down, and you get these closers.
We said that last year, though. Remember, there was Baffert had like 3 in there, and then you had Jonathan's Way, and you had East Avenue, and I think there was one more, and everybody decided to take back except Citizen Bull.
Didn't one of them blow the brake though?
I think East Avenue kind of blew the brake.
East Avenue, yeah.
Jonathan's Way was supposed to be on the lead, and they decided to take him back, and then Citizen Bull, kind of went wire to wire.
I feel like I remember that being the worst juvenile race of all time.
It probably was one of. I mean, the worst one was the one Dennis's Moment went to his nose coming out of the gate.
That's true. That
true. Race was pretty rough. I think it was like 6-horse field to begin with. But for me, I think my price is going to get killed. I think Baeza is going to run well in the Classic. I think that win in Pennsylvania is indicative of where this guy is. And I was between him and Nevada Beach. And I think I'm going to lean toward Baeza as my long shot key here. And he might even win the race. 15 to 1 on the morning line. I don't think we're going to get that now with Sovereignty out. What do you think, 8 to 1 maybe?
Yeah, cut everybody in half probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just going to get a rail trip, and Sheriff's does well at Del Mar. And I just think this horse he's relatively lightly raced. He looks like he's doing better than he's ever done. So Baeza, if he could get second or something like that underneath, I can't split the top 4, really. Fierceness, Mind Frame, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young. I just can't. I don't know what to do. I think journalism's probably maybe tailing off a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Our final question for this is, what was the final question, Geoff?
Most vulnerable favorite?
Most vulnerable favorite. Okay, this is an easy one, right? I think. Geoff, take it away.
Wow. Well, I thought about taking some low-hanging fruit with some of the wide-open races where you have, 7 to 2, 4 to 1 favorite, but I want to give the people what they want here, so I'm going to take a big favorite who I think is the most vulnerable of the horses that are likely to be odds on, and that is Precise in the Juvenile Fillies Turf. She's about as rock solid on paper as you can be, but I don't think drawing outside did her any favors whatsoever. I think she's one that really couldn't afford to do so. She has a bit of a tendency to break a step slow, which is not great in here. If she gets too far back or even too wide, or both, probably most likely both, one of these other runners with potential could really upset her. And she's going to be a common single for a lot of people. I like a couple of them. I know Dan mentioned a couple he likes earlier in there who he thinks are sneaky. I think Ultimate Love had a huge gallop out in her last win, and Imagination the Lady, the 3, a little light on numbers, but done nothing wrong. And comes in for Brendan Walsh, who's just had the best year of his career. So dismiss that one at your own peril as well.
You named the 3 horses I like in that race, and you also named the one I thought was the most vulnerable favorite. I think Precise is a play against in here.
Man, maybe she's not going to be odds on if everybody's against.
My thing is, I don't on just sheet numbers. She's not that much faster than everybody else. She may not be as fast as some of these in here. And last year, years past, you get Ryan Moore for these Aidan O'Brien horses. He always found the seams. He always knew where to go. This time you get Christophe Soumillon, who in his own right is a great jockey, one of the world's finest. But when the money's on the line, is he willing to, try to make his own hole? Is he willing to, is he just going to take back and go to the outside and be willing to lose ground? I think, plus Coolmore they're not as prolific in these juvenile filly turf races like they are in the juvenile turf races, the male counterparts. They dominate that race. They don't dominate this race as much.
Fair
So
point.
I'm against Precise. All right, Trey.
Well, maybe I missed the memo, but I'm doing all my races for Friday, so forgive me if it was supposed to be Friday and Saturday.
Sorry about that.
I already said that I was against Precise because I'm going with the inside horse to pull the upset. So I'm going to go into the race. Like I said, I've only looked at Friday, so I'm going to go to the race prior with Explora and say that she's going to be the most overbet and not get the win because I actually like a couple other horses in that race.
Okay, I get that. Now, speaking of Friday, the very last race, the juvenile turf, I was heartbroken when the horse that will be the favorite, Gestad, drew the 38 post out of 14. Because I think this horse is just head and shoulders above everybody. I just think, obviously, Coolmore, Aiden O'Brien dominates this race. And, this horse is on a 3-race losing streak, but those are 3 straight grade ones, group ones. What do you think about his chances? How would you surmise breaking from the 14 hole? I don't think anybody's ever won out from out there at Del Mar in the recent past, maybe the last 5 years.
I mean, that's the only reason I'm a little bit against in here. That was one I thought about as my most vulnerable favorite, even though I think he's a really nice horse. Absolutely marooned out there. 3 straight seconds. I know it maybe was a little bit circumstantial, but when you get 3 in a row when you're favored and can't get the job done, you kind of start asking questions, and then if you have other things on top of that make you question it as well, I think I'm a little more interested in some others in here. What do you think, Trey?
Well, actually, I was just looking at. I kind of like the outside horses myself, so the 14 hole doesn't really sway me that much because I think Hey Nene's got some speed. So if Joel sins, it's going to open up for the 14 to kind of slide over, and the 11's got speed. And let me quickly look through this real quick. Yeah, an outfielder's going to go to the front, and so hopefully the 3 and the 11 or the 12, somebody like that, they go and it kind of squeezes everybody over. The 14 just sits right third, fourth in the second flight, and I don't see any problem with it, to be quite honest. If he's the best horse in the race, I think he gets the job done regardless.
There you go, vote of confidence. I really wanted to end my pick 5 with this one, but
What do you guys think about the 9 in there, Argos or Riley Mott? That's the one I'm leaning towards on top right now. I really, really like that Woodbine race. It's a grade 1 winner now. It was anything but a comfortable trip. Had every reason to not win that race and did so. Still galloped out well. Only 3 times started. I think we got some upside there. What do you think?
I think there's no doubt there's some upside there. His figures didn't come back that fast for that race, though. That's the only problem. You get Flavor and Pratt, so you're going to get a good ride, and you got a horse that's really probably moving up. So I don't blame you for using him at all. Outfielder's a horse that I'm kind of interested in, just because the shines come off the coin a little bit, and he went to Europe and raced in the pre-morning and did not run well. He was all world. Stad beat him there, but then he comes back and runs on the dirt and looks good again. So this horse looks all world in the flesh.
The turf debut for outfielder was like really, really impressive. So I'm with you there. I think there's no doubt about the talent.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he's got a shot if Stad gets hung out wide and just comes running too late, which is.
I mean, he was only what 2.5 lengths behind Stad in that race.
Yeah.
So,
but he was full.
Do they send that horse?
I think they do.
I feel like he'd have a better trip if he just kind of stalk. I don't know if anybody else would go with him though.
I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get though. On the stretch out. I know Wesley Ward does really well in California at Santa Anita, or excuse me, at Del Mar. I think he has like a 27% win rate out there. So, but he usually ships the good ones. But I don't know. It's interesting, interesting to see because always something crazy happens, and then sometimes the champions come through. So, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was late. I guess I was really late if you were already signing off.
Oh, we're done. We're already 3 hours in, man.
Well, I guess I'll have to listen.
Yeah, always it's as good as it always is. All right, that's it for now. Everybody have a happy Breeders' Cup. On behalf of Geoff Riggs, Trey Server, Dan Cronin, and thousands of others, CC Broaddus reminding you in the words of our fearless leader, Jerry Romans, we're not happy until you're not happy. Good night.